I'm Đura, the time traveler, and this is my lifestyle time travel blog. Today we are talking about ancient Roman gossip. Ancient Romans were especially scandalous, and we have a lot of written sources that document their lifestyle and certain scandals that happened back then. And usually we are talking about emperors or important figures coming from the elite part of the society. So we are not going to talk about some guy at the baker's wife who had allegedly an affair with the owner of a tavern, but about historical figures. And that is only because, unfortunately, we do not know a lot about commoners during ancient Rome. Usually, some data about them come from the archaeology and not history. Sometimes we know where they lived, how their houses looked like, how their bakeries or shops looked like, or what they ate, but not much about their everyday life and some certain and important events that happened during their lives. And now let's spill some ancient tea.
You know what? I'm bored. I really need some hot gossip from you.
Well, you're here at the right time. Let's talk about Caligula.
Hi there.
You know the Emperor Caligula who...
The crazy one.
Well, yes, and he had a lot of problems and a lot of scandals attached to his name and a lot of gossip. Well, you know that he ruled the Roman Empire during the 1st century AD. And for the first 6 months of his reign, everything was fine. He was generous, he was pretty great, and everybody thought, oh, we have a good one now. But then, after those first 6 months, he fell ill. And maybe not ill, maybe he was poisoned, but that's still...
I bet he was poisoned.
Who knows? Who knows?
For his good behavior.
Allegedly. Well, you know, he recovered, but that left some consequences.
Oh, he wasn't the same anymore.
He wasn't the same, he became crazy and paranoid. So everything bad happened after that. You know, there's always a good villain origin story, and that was his. I don't know what changed. Maybe he was mad because he thought someone poisoned him, or he realized that he was vulnerable. I don't know. I really don't know what happened, but everything changed. And we see that even in his relationship with his sisters. That's one of the scandals. He was really close to his sisters, and everybody thought that they were actually having an affair. Yes. But allegedly that wasn't the case, and he changed his attitude towards his sisters immediately after he recovered. But there are other things way worse than this.
I bet.
Way worse. So, Philo of Alexandria and Seneca the Younger were his contemporaries, so they lived at the same time. And they say, from confidential sources, that they knew that he was crazy, self-obsessed, self-indulging in spending, he was overspending and having too much sex.
So basically just like any other emperor of Rome.
Any other incompetent emperor of Rome, because everything went downhill after his illness. One of his crazy ideas was to appoint his horse Incitatus as a consul. He didn't succeed in that, but he appointed him a priest. So that's
one horse performed sacred rituals.
But I think that's pretty subtle way to say how he feels about consuls and the government.
So basically that was a satire towards society.
I don't know, that's my interpretation, that's my take on the situation. Or he was completely insane. Well,
who knows?
Or he was an artist, or he was before his time. That was maybe some social, I mean definitely that was a social commentary, but maybe he was showing also how to drink water.
Or you know, when you touch the coldness of a glass and then you take a sip of water.
Caligula is present.
I suppose there's more about
Of
me.
course, there's a lot about him. One of the crazy stories is that during some games he was bored, and during the intermission he wanted something entertaining, you know, like commercial break, but make it fun. Make it like Super Bowl commercials. So,
I can guess that, but make it brutal as
but
well.
make it brutal, but make it Hunger Games.
Okay.
So he realized that he had to do everything by himself. He couldn't rely on any other person, so he selected some people from the
Audience?
yes, and he put them into the arena to fight the beasts.
Competent gladiators.
Yes,
Okay.
just like Hunger Games, he was
Okay.
President Snow. And do you know how he got to the throne?
Well, there are many stories.
Yes,
It's-
but each story includes Tiberius, his predecessor. Which version have you heard?
Well, according to Suetonius, Tiberius was starved, poisoned, and smothered with a pillow by Caligula.
My version is of Cassius Dio. The story is pretty similar, but this time Caligula had an accomplice. In this version, he was starved by Caligula. I mean, he wanted food, and Caligula told him, no, you don't need any food, you just need warmth. And then Macro, the commander of Praetorian Guard, so Tiberius's Praetorian Guard, was the one to smother him in his own bedsheet. It's everything allegedly and hearsay, so who knows if it was even true. And that actually happened before Caligula went crazy, so who knows?
The origins, and you can choose which story you like the most. To choose.
Or not to choose.
Or not to choose. And it's up to you which story you choose to believe.
Exactly.
Since we are talking about emperors, let's mention Caligula's nephew Nero.
Oh,
There are many rumors about him, endless.
Yes.
The list is endless.
He was the crazy one.
So basically they all have the same pattern, you know. Nero became an emperor at early age.
Yes, he was 13, right?
Yes. And he was a megalomaniac. And of course delusional and all the things that you have said about the previous one.
Yes.
So, and this one, Nero really loved to sing and he thought that he is a musical genius, so he would often perform for people.
Yes, he was an artistic soul.
I need to repeat his famous sentence, what an artist dies in me. So Nero gave musical performances in which he would sing, but those concerts would last for about 6 hours. And the funny thing is, nobody gets to leave while he's performing. On every gate there was a guardian, banning
The galaxy.
all the galaxy, banning people from leaving, basically. And while
That's
he
brutal.
while he
That's
was
brutal.
performing for hours. So during that megalomaniac performance, since they couldn't leave, pregnant women would often have to give birth on the spot. And furthermore, people even fake their own death just to leave, that horrible nonsense of that performance. So, yeah.
I mean, they were fighting for their life, I get it, so everything goes. Everything goes.
But that's not the only thing that he
Of course.
did.
Of course.
And in his free time, he was an arsonist too.
An arsonist.
Yes. And he wasn't.
Okay.
And he wasn't
That's
satisfied.
an interesting hobby.
He wasn't satisfied with his palace during that time. He wanted more space for his. I don't know what he was doing.
Parties. Probably,
And
yes.
so he decided to burn the whole Rome, so he could make a bigger and better palace. I would say more luxurious.
Well, allegedly.
And while the Rome was burning, he was playing a lyra and dancing as well.
Yes, I've heard about that. Some say that he wanted to rearrange the center of Rome, not just to build a bigger palace, and his palace is really grandiose and great, Domus Aurea. But that's all allegedly. There were a lot of rumors around Nero and his extravagant way of life and his love of art and his brutality. You know, I remember one story, and this one was not allegedly but probably true, that he killed his own mother.
Yes,
He
I heard that
arranged-
one too.
Yes, he arranged to kill her. First as an accident, a boat accident, but when that didn't work, when she came to the shore, then he arranged for the Praetorian guards to kill her.
Yes.
And that was approved by Senate because she was preparing an attack on him. I mean, allegedly, but the Senate believed because she was probably even crazier than Nero.
She was power hungry since
Yeah.
he was born, I would say. And
Since she was born.
Well, let's be honest, nothing has changed.
Exactly. It's always the same story, it's always the gossip, and it's always fun.
Thank you for watching this video.
And you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, send to all, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!
Bye.